So a common thing with these random reviews is I'll look at something I want to review and go, oh wait, I already did that in a rushed review a long time ago, and I really don't want to double up. But that doesn't mean I can't do one of the other color schemes the toy came in. So rather than do the Classics Nemesis Prime, which I've already discussed, we're going to talk about the original. Especially because this mold seems to keep coming back over and over and over again. We need to see just why it endures so much. I mean, from a physical standpoint, I have no idea how this toy still survives. But that said, we're going to take a look at Classics Optimus Prime. One of the most sought after, I believe, because look at this guy. This is like about as perfect as it gets as a modern Optimus Prime. You know, not the it's the cab over engine design. It's big brick solid truck mode. It's everything I want out of Optimus, but it also has the modern touches like the wind vane there at the top. So he's much more aerodynamic than the original, driving brick that the original one was. So, of course, he is cast in red plastic as well as blue, looking beautiful in both shades. A little bit of gray plastic as well. So he's got all the classic colors of Prime. Rather than the simple silver stripe down the middle, we have something of a more modernized and more interesting, almost a racing stripe look to it. And that also conveys to the wind vane up top. So it's got a lot more silver than the classic version. That's perfectly fine. I do like how they did the blue here, so that he still has as much of the blue as the original, but he's actually hiding up what will become his upper legs, something, the G1 Prime, well, now that I think of it, let's just say this, I like how much of the blue is carried over. I think it balances the colors a lot better. So this is what happens when I'm trying to remember toys on the fly that I haven't touched in years. So, from the look of it, yeah, it's pretty rock solid, not a whole lot exposed, a little bit in there in the back and on the bottom, even there. It's pretty much, big solid truck all the way around. Really happy with it. A little bit of yellow, just a little bit for the top lights as well as the headlights up front. Toward the back, you can see that the smokestacks are completely molded and painted as well. Not painted on the bottom side, so that's a little annoying, but here it works perfectly fine. You'll also see molded in is this little nub here that's just sticking up interestingly. These were there to taunt us. See, those Optimus Primes used to come with little holes or little protrusions like this that made you think, well, this toy's going to come with a trailer someday, and it never did. And they did this over and over and over again, and it got really, really frustrating. And so aside from that, there's not a whole lot to the vehicle mode. The Classics figures were just meant to be solid Transformers, and a solid Transformer this is. He has a really good roll to him, a really good heavy feel to him. The only downsides to the design is something that's pretty common with Optimus Primes, which is the feet for the robot mode just kind of hang off the back is a very obvious, this isn't really how this truck is supposed to go. There's a few modern designs that kind of flip the foot forward, so it kind of folds like flat to the rear. It doesn't do that here. This is the only part that really does not work as far as, being a truck in disguise. Alright, so that out of the way. Vehicle mode extremely solid. Autobot symbol inside. I might as well just show you the rub symbol, which was what the Classics did. But Classics were known for just solid transformations with no gimmicks in the way. No gimmicks, just Transformer. So let's get this guy into robot mode, which does require us to remove a couple of bits. Don't worry, it's not part forming. We will get back to them. So, those go out to the side. Legs fold all the way down like so. It's already looking much more like how the G1 Optimus Prime transformed. It's going to look more so, because the sides are going to fold out into the arms just like the original. Out they come, like so. I'm going to straighten them out like this, and we're going to rotate the forearm as we twist this kibble all the way around until we can fold it up like that. And I'll do that again on this side. It's an interesting way of dealing with like all that extra shell piece. Just wrap it around the arm. It does create a little bit of hang-off junk, but not to a terrible degree. We're going to make sure all of this is like well out of the... Well, in order to make sure that's well out of the way, we first have to flip the head up. We'll go ahead and rotate that around just to do it. With that, we can fold up this chunk. And with that folded up, we can smoothly rotate the upper torso around. This all gets folded up like that. That folds up the backpack. And with that, we separate the legs and stand up our classics Optimus Prime in robot mode. I absolutely adore this robot. This is the standard bearer for a G1 styled modern Optimus Prime for me. Like, the proportions are fantastic, the colors are spot on, and they still try to do something a little bit new as well, just to make sure he didn't look too dull when kids tried to buy the toy. Almost didn't flip those up. I think even stock photographers got that wrong. So, let's take a look. He does have the absolute classic Optimus Prime head. It's more detailed, it's got a little bit more of the modern design to it, and it does have a little bit of yellow there in the crest. As I said, they did try to do a few different things with the toy. Nothing too extreme, but you can still tell it is the original Optimus Prime in a brand new upgraded form. As I said, the proportions are pretty much spot on. The legs are heavy, the waist is narrow, so the chest and shoulders look quite wide. Everything is balanced correctly. The arms are the right length, the legs are the right length. They pretty much nailed it as far as how Optimus Prime needs to look. Like, based on the original design, based on more modern aesthetics for your heroic Autobot leader. I'm just now remembering he had an entire cab molded into his chest. I might as well show that, as long as I can easily show it. Little seats, little wheel, things like that. Attention to detail that does not come into play as much anymore. That said, while he does look very vintage, there is plenty of new stuff going on. Of course, he has a lot more yellow than the original did. Not only in the forearms, but also in the head, a little bit on the pelvis, which is fine, because there was some there anyway, and the knees as well. It does give him a much more colorful look. It does break up the colors a lot more than the original toy and designs did. Also, a little bit of blue in the shoulder, which just kind of brings the color up and balances out the color scheme a little bit. So, he does have a lot more going on. As far as paint goes, one of the things that I always kind of thought was strange was the legs, the hips here, have been painted all the way up, especially in the back. They've been painted all the way to the top of the thigh, which is kind of strange. Like, in the G1 Optimus, these should have just been, like, all gray, which I guess is to give him a more long-legged look, I think. But I don't know, it's the one design part here where I'm just, like, kind of questionable about. Well, I have no clue why they actually painted them that way. But as you can see, yeah, he is heavily molded all the way around. I do like some little elements, like the all these little panels, the exhaust at the side, on the front of the legs. This is a very MP01 style look to him. And yeah, he does have moldings all the way around. Of course, this part is completely fake, because the actual grill is just kind of hanging out on his back. But beyond that, yeah, he's got plenty of really nice molding all the way through him. So he does stand to be a very solid looking toy. For articulation, we have a head that rotates all the way around. We have universal shoulders with 2 hinges to move as they will. A bicep swivel just below the shoulder. We have detented and slightly ratcheted elbows. Clicky, clicky. Nothing in the wrist. The waist does have a rotation, which I love seeing. I don't see enough of these days. Thighs completely universal. The hips universal, I should say. The thigh swivel is there just above the knee. Knee itself a little bit beyond the 90. And the hip, the ankles just kind of back and forth. Not going to get a whole lot out of them. These are also before the days of before the days of ankle rocks, or even like when they put the feet at a slant in the actual molding, just so you can display it more stably at a more natural angle. But it does give you an Optimus Prime who is a fair bit more posable than he usually is. And I'm happy to say, like, while he does have a little bit of backpack junk, and he does have these big things on his arms, none of it really gets in the way. He manages to maintain a high level of posability without any interference from his kibble. That's always good. So back in his little neutral stance, let's bring his other bits back here, because his other bits hide their own little secrets. We can transform the wind vane by locking this up and flipping out. Ow! Shouldn't have cut my nails. Flip out the little barrel to create one weapon, which we can mount in his hand. And then we can do the same thing for this. This has flip out bits here inside. Flip those out. Again, shouldn't have cut my nails so soon. Clamp them all together. Fold out the actual handle, and you get a double-barreled kind of machine gun looking thing. And we'll go ahead and put that in his left hand. That's about as much gimmick as you get with this guy. 2 transforming weapons that disguise themselves as parts of his vehicle mode. And it works pretty well. Neither one looks anything like his classic rifle. You do have a little bit of an homage to it in some of the moldings on the gun, but for the most part, they are completely new weaponry. And I don't mind this. This is a very G2 looking blaster. This is definitely something he would have wielded in the comic books. And this is about as close to his old rifle as it gets. And of course, it's nowhere close to his old rifle. But I do like the look of it. I do like that he has 2 very different weapons. I do like the use of his extra components in order to create them. That said, if you want these components to be a little bit better integrated, we can do that too. Let's go ahead and get these back the way they were. Pull that out. It has to be done in a specific way. You can't completely close it up before putting that back in. Alright, get these back in. And now we are going to combine these components with these pegs going into these little holes here on the bottom. If we do that, it's always hard to line these things up because there's not a whole lot of clearance. Go ahead and do that. We go to this back peg. I'm going to attach back to where the wind vane was connected in his vehicle mode. Same peg, same socket. Fold that back down to fold that back down, and that gives you storage. And that's how they kind of store up on the robot mode. And hey, this actually puts his smokestacks over his shoulders, so you actually have something of a little bit closer to the G1 Prime look. Not hanging off the sides of his shoulders, but you at least get the impression that they're supposed to be where they used to be. So that's at least a nice thought to have, and it's a subtle little touch the designers could have easily skipped over and didn't, which makes me quite happy. That, my friends, is Classics Optimus Prime. This still is a fantastic toy. The transformation is extremely good and intuitive. It harkens back to the original while still having some new tricks. I love the integrated weaponry. I like the overall feel. He's solid all the way around. The only thing that might get to you is maybe the extra colorings, because he is definitely not the most G1 of Optimus Primes with all that yellow. But there's plenty of releases of this toy that rectify that. You've got so many options for how you want this toy to look. You just go out and pick whichever one you want. Though I'm pretty sure the mold has seen better days. I cannot confirm that the one that you would currently buy in the Platinum series as with Megatron is quite as tight and solid as this one. So just be aware, this thing's about 10 years old now. It's seen better days.